Hello and welcome back. This is going to be part two to part one. If you check it out down below, if you haven't watched that already, as I was cut short due to interrupted nap time, early interrupted nap time. And I was talking about the masculine and feminine ego and how when we have an imbalance inside of us, we can decide how long we spend in those energies, maybe unconsciously or consciously. I see this happen a lot, and I've had experiences of myself in this energy. So if you have an imbalance of dependency or independency, so if you're independent and dependent with imbalance, so Spirit's been showing me this tube around the cylinder around our bodies. This is the neutral zone that I've been talking about, this 0 point field. When we keep our energy inside of this tube, everything is in balance, and therefore everything is creating positive energy. Even if we experience grief or grief, guilt, regret, sadness, all of these we would label more negative energies. When they're in balance, they actually just are motivators to go back to the positive energy, and they actually feel good when they're in balance. When they become extremely out of balance, they grow. If they're held onto or rejected, they come out of this tube. This is when we start creating negative energy. When they come out of this tube, that indicates an imbalance, and anything out of balance creates negative energy. So if you held on to guilt, it will then grow. If it comes out of this field, it'll become something else. It'll become something like resentment or hate, right? So these energies actually don't exist inside of the field. Energies of hate or lust or even resentment or even obsession or temptation. These energies really don't exist when we are in our center. These energies only exist out of imbalance, which really shows you that they're not really real. They're just they're a product of imbalance. That's really all they are. And we can choose to stay in these energies as long as we want to. When we get triggered and we come out of this tube, we then, we call it a mood. If it's a very strong energy, we'll move into a mood. Oh, she's in a mood or he's in a mood. It's because they're in these energies, and we can choose to come through them, specifically if we're aware of them, or we can choose to stay out there for a long time. And sometimes these energies are playing in our background, and Spirit's used the analogy lately of a computer. Computers and technology is really our inner experience manifested outwardly. What we do on an intuitive level inside of ourselves, we've now manifested as our phones and our computers. They're very similar in their processes. And computer, I keep looking at my computer, when it has no tabs open, it's running optimally. That is like you when everything is in balance, when everything is inside of your tube, your neutral zone. But every time you have an out of energy, out of balance, it is like a tab running in the background. If you have like 30 tabs, your computer's going to start to run a little bit slower. You might even get a virus and, start acting a little bit weird. That is like your energy. And most of us have hundreds of imbalances or limited conditionings playing out in our background, in our field. And when you start to go through shadow work, the universe is going to take you through these imbalances one at a time and start to bring them into balance. And you're going to see like, oh my God, like I was running on ego. I was full ego. Even my ego was built on an ego. And you keep going all the way back until you get everything locked in the center zone. Not even within the realm of the Goldilocks zone, Spirit's calling it, where everything can exist within harmony. You're going to lock it in like the cross symbol or the middle of the affinity symbol. So affinity symbol is perfect balance. You're going to lock it in. Each and every energy is going to be locked in, north, east, south, and west, right in the center. This is really being given to us right now, really available. And when they're locked in, they don't move anymore. And you start harnessing God energy and source energy and powerful, magical energy. Sorry, I was moving. When I went out there, I felt that imbalance and I had to clear it. So when you have an out of balanced energy, so the energy of dependence and independence, you can experience that with imbalance. The center of that energy would be empowerment, I believe. These energies slightly manifest differently for everyone, but say the energy of empowerment becomes out of balance. So then it might become a little bit more dependent and a little bit less independent. And then maybe that dependent will grow and then it will move outside of the zone. That probably what we call hyper independent or hyper dependent or codependent. And then on the other side, it has to mirror that energy. So then when it does come over here, it will be hyper independent. So you might experience, when you have that external energy, extreme independence. Maybe for 20 years, maybe for your whole life, you experience independence, hyper independence. You're overly independent. It's out of balance. You're not allowing yourself to depend on anyone. You're extremely overly independent. Anytime I say overly, that means it's no longer the natural energy of dependent. Now it's become something else. More like we say codependent and more like a narcissistic energy. That's a very negative and dark term. It just means more like, I can do it myself, leave me alone, I don't trust anyone. And those energies manifest and cause an array of different energies to come out of balance. So you might spend your whole life, till you're 40 in hyper independence. And then you might have an experience, a trauma or something that finally kicks you back. But instead of going to the neutral zone, you go back and now you're become extremely codependent. You're like, what the heck? I've never been codependent in my life. I've always been extremely independent. It's because something's very out of balance here. And this is what shadow work does. When you're in this energy and you become aware of it, that's the only time you can allow it to come back. When you meditate and when you do Reiki and all these things, you will allow yourself to come back into balance. But because you lack the mental awareness, the cognitive awareness of what actually happened and why those things happen, you will most likely recreate this imbalance, because on a physical level, your neurons and your neural pathways have this stored programming, this physical programming, this physical conditioning. And it takes, they say, 21 days physically for your neurons to recreate or change pathways and create a new cycle or break a cycle and create a new response. Preferably, we don't replace one imbalance with another. Like when people try to quit smoking and they really want to work out. It's like, okay, yes, this is like you're replacing a negative habit with a positive habit, but because this was already out of balance, chances are this is going to become out of balance as well. So if you can replace a negative habit with nothing, no thing, then you can really make sure that you're not going to just have another imbalance later. So when you meditate and you come back to your center, you're then going to have to challenge yourself and your mental processes so that they don't go back out of balance. This is when you have to change your mind, literally. You're rewiring your brain. This is where positive affirmations come in. Your mind might want to tell you about how it used to think, and this is where you can validate your mind. Yes, I know, I used to think like that, but I no longer think like that. Reassure your mind, I know, everything's going to be okay. We are really healing ourselves. We are really coming into balance here. And you're just being that little cheerleader for yourself. And it takes time. It takes, they say 21 days. It could be less or more depending on you and how much, work you're putting in and how many times you're giving in to that imbalance and going back on that roller coaster ride. Depends on how long it takes for you to return to balance and balance these energies. So once you notice that, okay, I had this independent, codependent swinging that happens, that you go back and forth from one to the other through the figure eight, so that everything goes through the infinity symbol. That's how energy moves. And it becomes imbalanced. You try to find, if you go back, this is what meditation does. So during meditation, you just focus on this imbalanced energy and just allow your mind to go blank, relax, allow your mind to surrender and come back and govern your heart. And then these answers are going to come to you, and you might feel the energy of empowerment. Okay, the energy of empowerment is out of balance. That is why I have this experience of independent, codependent, hyper-independent, hyper-codependent, or codependent. And so then you can focus on the energy of empowerment and choose to tune into the energy of empowerment more and more and more every day. That also can help manifest outwardly what it is you are trying to do as you bring yourself greater into balance. I'm going to keep this video super short, I think, because I think I just literally said everything that I've needed to say all in 11 minutes. So just really taking that into consideration. Every single time you experience something that you would label as a negative experience, there is something out of balance, okay? You can literally create positive energy even if you feel a negative feeling like guilt or regret or shame. Those are the natural ones. It's still going to create positive energy, because if you feel guilt, it's going to allow you to feel motivated to reach out and, say sorry or, forgive yourself or whatever it is. And that creates positive energy. When you experience something that seems to be creating negative energy, is an indication that something's out of balance, and you have to tune in and figure it out. All we're here to do is bring everything back into balance. And when we have everything back into balance, we are goddesses, and we create infinitely whatever we want. And life is just this glory ride. And this energy is becoming more and more available as the collective energies start to come into balance. I know it doesn't look like it right now, but we are going through an ego death at this time, and ego deaths are never fun. We're going through a spiritual rebirth, literally, of the divine masculine. As he surrenders his ego, he is rebirthing himself, and that's why we're seeing the crumbling of an old society, an old way of doing things, a matriarchal society, and we're rebirthing the true authentic masculine, and the true authentic feminine is being felt strongly, and she is starting to come down because she was trying to pull the masculine up to her level, and now she's surrendered, and they're meeting halfway, where balance is. If you experience this on a more physical level within your relationships, if you and your partner are extremely different, he has one view, you have another, find the middle, merge those two energies together. That's where you find balance every single time. Every single time you experience this duality within yourself, this extreme like back and forth, realize that there's something split. You're not connected to your center. You take those two energies, you push them together, and generally the problem will go away, or it will go away, because you restored balance to something that was out of balance. So if you're having an indecisiveness in your mind, it's a sign that you're out of balance, because you have polarity. When things they should be close together, so there's no wiggle room. And generally in this energy, you don't have confusion, you don't have thought, you don't even have choices really. You just know. Everything is just a knowing. It's a straight line. Oopsies. Yes. I feel that is all I'm going to say for this time, but this is the major topic of my channel, and I will be directing it to specific situations for twin flames, soulmates, starseeds, and empaths within love connections and within their own personal journey. Infinitely Lily, if anyone's curious, is the divine sacred energy of the feminine. Sacred energy of the divine feminine, I should say. It's a name that came to me during my initial spiritual awakening, and I do feel it is symbolic of what we are going to be experiencing over the next few decades. Alrighty, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.